Hello and welcome to Wednesday's Granada Reports. We are live across the northwest.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Here's what's coming up on tonight's programme.
When every step is painful, why Neil, the former nurse who now relies on benefits, says he's quitting the Labour Party in disgust. The Chancellor's spring statement, the final straw.
Just never expected the Labour Party, from what I joined, to do anything like this. Especially with them saying there's going to be no more austerity. This, to me, is austerity in a nutshell.
The fears of a mum for her severely disabled daughter. Alison says a legal issue may stop her having any say in Ruby's care once she turns 18.
As Trent's move from Merseyside to Madrid gets more Real by the day, Liverpool fans give their verdict.
We'll find someone to replace him. The always do. We always just fill in. It's a full team, isn't it? It's not one person.
Chinatown in your hands, the public consultation about one of Liverpool's most historic areas.
And the blossom is starting to pop here in the northwest. A rather mixed bag weather-wise over the next few days. The details are coming up.
So first tonight, I've left the Labour Party because they don't represent me anymore. The words of a disabled former nurse called Neil from Salford, reacting to the spring statement from the Chancellor.
Yeah, Rachel Reeves announced today she was making even deeper cuts to benefits than she originally planned, but that's left Neil fearing he could lose the personal independence payments he depends on after being forced to give up work.
Meanwhile, a rise in national insurance contributions is only a week away. Employees in our region say it will add to their costs, prices will have to go up and jobs will be lost.
Well, the government says the tough measures will make the North West better off in the longer term. Our political correspondent, Leisha McNally, has more.
Neil Huff was a nurse who spent his career caring for the country. But now, on disability benefits, he needs the country to care for him too. And this week has left him very worried. Fresh off the back of big changes to sickness and disability pay last week, today the government confirmed another $500 million in cuts to the welfare bill.
Never expected the Labour Party, from what I joined, to do anything like this. Especially with them saying there's going to be no more austerity. This, to me, is austerity in a nutshell. And it upsets me, because, I mean, I've seen people going to work that need food banks, never mind people on disability.
The government says this is far from austerity, but it has to find nearly £15 billion to avoid soaring borrowing costs, laying out why it wants to balance the books.
Because the British people have seen what happens when a government borrows beyond their means. The mini-budget delivered by the party opposite resulted in higher bills, in higher rents and higher mortgages. It was not the wealthy who suffered most when they crushed the economy. It was ordinary working people.
But these savings come at a political cost.
Tax the rich! Don't cut Pip!
Neil's been in the Labour Party most of his adult life. This week, he cancelled his membership. And he's not the only one feeling worried. Jed was a truck driver until a stroke left him with epilepsy. He's now being reassessed to see if he's still eligible for personal independence payments, known as PIP.
This goes now, my life's even changed again, even more, and how am I going to cope with this? It's the way it is to fill the form in. Mine's on like a renewal now, and it's like I think it's 32 pages with all the questions and the detail you've got to put in. There's no way on my own I could have filled that form in. There's not a chance.
Jed's being supported by this debt advice centre in Manchester, who say calls about PIP have more than tripled. 1,400 inquiries in just 3 days.
There's a lot of customers that, are struggling to sleep. So we understand the need to review the benefit costs of the country. We just think it's really important that those that are already financially vulnerable are not pushed further into financial difficulty.
The government says those unable to work will still get all the support they need, but savings will allow investment elsewhere to get the economy growing again. Today, a £2 billion boost to defence spending to support tech jobs in places like Barrow and build homes for veterans.
This additional investment is not just about increasing our national security, but increasing our economic security too. As defence spending rises, I want the whole country to feel its benefits.
But at Slattery's cake shop in Bury, that message is hard to land. In just 10 days, the changes from the Chancellor's first budget will come into force, leaving them with a higher wage bill and paying more in employers' national insurance. A bitter blow after their worst trading period since 1967.
If Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, was here now, I would like to tell her how difficult it is to run a small business. We've tried to absorb as much as we can, but we're not making anything. We can't reinvest, we can't go forward, we can't grow the business.
The government hopes sound spending will mean happier times ahead, but there are plenty of economic clouds hanging over Westminster amid a spring statement which some say has failed to bring the sunshine.
Well, Leisha joins us from Westminster now. And Leisha, how is this spring statement going down with our North West MPs?
A killer question, Gamal, because the spring statement has been a real pressure point for the government. The bargain they've sold for months is that sensible decisions today will mean growth tomorrow. But a lot of Labour MPs are really unhappy about the welfare changes. They're asking, if growth comes from savings which come from benefit cuts, then who is the growth really for? And one North West MP told me today she simply can't support it. You'll hear now why this remains a really big political challenge as three very different North West politicians deliver the same verdict on welfare reform.
I'm very disappointed as a Labour MP, sitting in the chamber listening to the spring statement today, with the Chancellor talking about making cuts to disability payments and PIP payments. It's not something that I came in to support as a Labour MP. My Liverpool Riverside constituency is one of the most deprived in the country. We have child poverty, 47%. That's 1 in 2 children living in Riverside in poverty, and it's not something that we should be considering.
The economy has got to be working. You've got to have jobs for people to go into, and what Rachel Reeves did in the budget is getting rid of jobs, and also their workers' right to getting rid of jobs. So you can't do benefit changes if you haven't got the opportunities and the jobs for people to go into.
The Liberal Democrats would have done very many different things. We would have raised the money that's needed to fix our public services by taxing people like the big banks, the online gambling giants and the big social media companies properly.
So does this become a major rebellion? My sense is no, or at least not yet, because there was some good news in the spring statement, courtesy of the OBR. They've upgraded their growth forecasts from next year, basically predicting that the defence spending announced today, more money to help people looking for jobs, those house building plans announced yesterday, predicting all of that will actually work and grow the economy.
When I see the stats saying by the end of this Parliament, families each year will be £500 on average better off, I feel really positive about that. I also see some of the legislation that we've been putting through Parliament in the last 8 months now coming to conclusion. We'll get to see the benefits of that in just a week's time. We're going to see 3 million families benefit from an increase in the minimum wage. I mean, I think my constituents will feel this benefit. I think the country will feel it too.
So the Chancellor seems to have bought herself some time today, but with economic growth, it's not forecasts that matter, it's facts. People will need to feel better off and feel it very soon. That's the risk that Labour is taking, and with the global economic uncertainty going nowhere, it remains a pretty big risk.
Alicia in Westminster, thank you. Well, let's take a look at some more of the day's news now. And a teenager has been arrested on suspicion of arson after a fire broke out on moorlands near Rochdale. Emergency services were called to Blackstone Edge on Old Road in Littleborough shortly after 1 o'clock today, where they were able to quickly bring the fire under control.
A law that aims to prevent and reduce the harm caused by terror attacks like the Manchester Arena bombing has moved a step closer. Martin's Law was first proposed by Fegan Murray after her son Martin Hett was killed in the attack 8 years ago. It will force large venues to have a plan in case of a terror attack. Last night, MPs voted in favour of its final amendments, and it will now be sent for royal assent.
Well, next to the legal battle facing many parents who care for severely disabled children.
Yes, Alison Parr from Congleton in Cheshire says she's unable to sleep with fear after the courts rejected her application for something called deputyship. This would give her the legal right to speak on behalf of her daughter Ruby, who has very complex special needs.
Well, Alison has now taken out a £5,000 loan to appeal the decision, because without it, she could lose all her rights to speak for Ruby when she turns 18 and has to go into residential care.
You might remember we first featured their story last month. Our correspondent Elaine Wilcox went back to see them.
When I think about it, I have an actual pain in my chest, which, you know, I know it's anxiety, I know it's fear, it's uncertainty. I don't know what the future and how I protect Ruby looks like.
For 17 years, Alison Parr has been her daughter's main carer. She gave up her career as a nurse and opened a sensory centre for disabled youngsters like Ruby. But when she's 18, she'll have to move into residential care because providers can't meet her needs at home. But her mum will no longer be consulted over her daughter's medical treatment and welfare.
I can list so many different things over the years that have happened where without me, Ruby's quality of life wouldn't be what it is, or even that she wouldn't be here.
We first met Ruby when the NHS threatened to fine her after a prescription error and wouldn't speak to her mum. A manager apologised and accepted the current system didn't work.
He said, well, we have accessible communication, we have Braille, we have the video links so we could do sign language, and we have interpreters. And he said, but I can see that doesn't work for Ruby. And I feel this is the same thing again, that they've got a law in place, it doesn't work for us.
Disability advocate Deborah Lawson has been supporting the family and says Ruby's mum is best placed to care for her. But if she disagrees with professional decisions, she has to go back to court, and that's costing thousands.
All Ruby's welfare decisions will be made by professionals that don't know Ruby. They won't be able to read really subtle facial cues, for example, that only Alison would be able to read. And ultimately that is putting her at risk. The court has said that Alison can apply to them every single time that it's needed, but in reality that is impractical.
We're almost at £5,000 this bill now, you know, with the solicitors. I've had to take a loan out to pay for this. I haven't got a bottomless pit of money that I can do it.
Steph Garner works alongside Alison and is worried too. She's in the process of applying for deputyship for her disabled brother.
We work at a centre, we've made it our kind of business to understand the various different systems and things, and if we found it this tricky, there are so many more that will be really, really struggling.
Did you get a chance to speak to the judge to put your point over?
No, you have to put this young lady onto a piece of paper. This isn't about control. Okay, Rubes. Okay, darling. Okay. Are you back?
What is the impact on you?
When I'm not sleeping, you know. The worry for me is that I can't do my best for her and protect her. And that's the fear I've got.
For her family, Ruby's 18th birthday will be bittersweet when decisions on her care will pass to her 8th social worker and the courts. Elaine Wilcox, ITV News, Congleton.
Well, we asked for a response to this story from the Ministry of Justice, and they told us the Mental Capacity Act allows a carer, such as a relative, to make decisions around care without the need for deputyship. Legal assistance is not necessary for the application to the Court of Protection. But both Alison and Steph told us that the forms were almost impossible to navigate without a solicitor.
Yeah, we also got a statement from Sarah Russell, the Labour MP for Congleton, who said she was appalled by the continued hardship that Alison and Ruby have had to endure. She said it appears every obstacle had been put in their way and that it can't be sustainable for already vulnerable families to exhaust their emotional and financial resources. She added, the last thing that Ruby needs is further uncertainty. Having provided care for her daughter for almost 18 years, Alison knows Ruby's needs better than anyone.
Well, there's more on our top story tonight with Romilly and the ITV 6:30 news headlines.
Coming up on tonight's ITV Evening News. The big numbers on the Chancellor's big day, the welfare cuts which will drive 250,000 people into poverty as the Chancellor tries to balance the books with growth for this year cut. why Prince Harry's quit the charity he founded in his mum's honour, and celebrations for the birthday boy, the D-Day veteran, turning 100. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
OK, time for sport now. And Liverpool supporters have been reacting to the news that Trent Alexander-Arnold looks set to leave this summer. Hi, David.
Yeah, it's a real blow to Liverpool and their fans, this, with his move to Real Madrid edging ever closer. Well, from joining the club's academy at the age of 6, well, Trent's gone on to win every major honour with the first team, from the Premier League to the Champions League and the Club World Cup. A week. So, what do Liverpool fans think?
If he'd decided this a couple of years ago and signed, the club would have got money for selling him. So, which you can't understand that, but he's giving enough to the club anyway. He doesn't owe the club anything, or the fans.
We'll find someone to replace him, they always do. We always just fill in. It's a full team, isn't it? It's not one person. The team's not one person. Sad to see him go, though.
He's been in Liverpool 20-odd years, so he's won us the Premier League, helped us win the Premier League, he's helped us win the Champions League and a few other trophies. And if you're not happy with that, then you're never going to be bloody happy.
Yeah, we'll watch for some developments there. Now, to some breaking news tonight, and Burnley boss Scott Parker has been given a one-match touchline ban by the Football Association. Comes after he was sent off at the end of the Championship game with West Brom earlier this month after clashing with one of their players. As well as the ban, he's also been fined £2,000 after admitting a charge of improper conduct. He'll have to watch Saturday's home game with Bristol City from the stands. Well, next, Everton's new stadium has been chosen to host an Ashes test this autumn. No, we're not talking about cricket. This is rugby league. For the first time in 22 years, England will face Australia in a 3-match series here, as well as Wembley and Headingley. Bramley-Moore Dock will host the game on November the 1st.
Yeah, definitely. These big stages are, where you want to play on in your career, and to get the opportunity to play at any of them venues is really exciting. So, I'm sure there'll be a lot of competition for spots in that England squad this year, but I think everyone will be raising the game because they want to play at them stages.
Now to a special surprise for a rugby league legend. Ray Ashby won both the Challenge Cup and the Lancashire Cup with Wigan in the 1960s. His skills earned him 2 call-ups to his country, but due to rules in place at the time, he was never awarded a coveted Great Britain cap, something Wigan, as Chris Hall now reports, have been keen to put right.
When Wigan beat Hunslet to win the Challenge Cup in 1965, Ray Ashby was the hero. Setting up the winning try and picking up the Lance Todd Trophy for Man of the Match secured his place in the club's folklore.
It's a day in my life I will never ever forget. Lovely to play on some great, actually to play on fields that's got grass on it. Because most of the time we played and there was more soil than there was grass. To hear the crowd chanting my name at the bottom end of Wembley, I was in a different world.
He was equally proud of his 2 international appearances against France in '64 and '65. But back then, only those who played twice in the same year were awarded a Great Britain cap. So the 60th anniversary of Wigan's Wembley win was the perfect ruse to surprise Ray with a piece of headgear he's craved since he was in his 20s.
We always tell lads, we want to look after you when you're here, but also if you think about it, in another 60 years' time, I love the thought that the club's still got an interest in looking after you, especially when someone's played international and deserves this credit.
Oh, now I've gone into a different world now. Good grief. They could have blown me over. When I enjoyed playing for Great Britain, it was nice, it was a lovely accolade, but there's nothing like getting a cap, because I always wanted one, I'll be honest with you.
We've actually honoured today one of the Wigan greats. He actually come from Liverpool City, which was quite a low league club at the time, and he came to Wigan £5,000, played at full-back, played in a Lancashire Cup final, played in Challenge Cup final. Probably one of the best full-backs that the game had seen in the 60s and early 70s.
It's good to be in good company anyway. I wish I was half as good as you lot are. I might just want to call myself a good one. To join this brilliant club, beyond my wildest dreams, it really was. It really is the best team that ever put jerseys on their backs.
This club is littered with legends. These Grand Slam winners will hope to one day feature on the training ground walls alongside those who laid the foundations. Chris Hall, ITV News, Wigan.
Yeah, well done, Ray. Congratulations. Well deserved. Well, finally to the former Lioness inspiring one school football team ahead of the biggest match of their lives. The former Manchester City and Everton star Izzy Christensen joined in a training session with the girls from the under-13s team at Sandbach High School. They'll be representing Crewe Alexandra at Wembley next month after making it through to the final of the Utilita Girls' Cup.
As soon as I walked onto the pitch here, I could feel the energy from the players. You know, they're super excited to be playing at Wembley in a few weeks' time. It's such a fantastic opportunity at such a young age, and it's just great to see the girls enjoying their football. They've just spoken to me about their morals and their sort of team mantra, and the main thing is to enjoy it, which is totally correct. It's all about having a smile on your face and enjoying playing football.
They're just really buzzing to be able to have this opportunity, because I don't think I've known anyone to be able to play at Wembley, so it's just really cool. Every day we're like, oh my god, it's only 2 more weeks until Wembley, and we're planning out what we're going to wear on the coach down and what we're going to do in the room, how it's all going to work, and we're just counting down every second.
Yeah, the countdown is well and truly on to April the 13th when they face a team representing AFC Wimbledon in the final, like I say, at Wembley. What an occasion for them. And how great was Ray as well. I hope he's still wearing his cap, because I think he absolutely treasures that now, doesn't he? I hope he never takes it off.
I was going to say, but he hasn't taken it off.
Oh, no, fantastic story. Well done to Wigan as well for giving that to him as
amazing.
well. Well deserved.
Well deserved indeed.
Thanks very much, David.
Now, for some facts which may amaze you. Chinatown in Liverpool is the oldest area of its type in Europe.
Yeah, and how about this? The Chinese Arch in the city is the biggest outside mainland China, if I can say it.
But at 200 or something years old, the Chinatown area just outside the town centre is, it's fair to say, looking a bit run down. Previous plans to revive it have come to nothing.
But that could all be about to change, because there's a public consultation about a new scheme to regenerate it. And if you want to make your views known, there's still a few days left.
Our correspondent Anne O'Connor went for a look around.
It is one of the largest and oldest Chinatowns in Europe, attracting thousands to its New Year's celebration every year. But it's becoming frayed round the edges, and its restaurants, once a popular end to a night out in the city, are now competing with Liverpool One's food courts and student venues around Liverpool. Henry Chew runs the North Garden restaurant, as his mother and father did before him.
With our regular customers, they used to come maybe 2-3 times a week, and now because times are a lot harder, it's seen as more of a luxury. It's really sad and breaks my heart, because it's such an important part of my life, and I was here when the community was thriving, and you just see that slow degradation, and you want more for the community, more for the people, so we can all thrive and kind of be better off together.
He and other businesses welcome plans by Liverpool Council to give a facelift to Great George Square, currently seen as just a path between the city centre and rival food stalls in Baltic Market. It would include the addition of 2 lions donated by the Chinese consulate in Manchester, better play equipment and a memorial garden.
We like to them to come back to more shop, come back to in this area. More once the business start build up, it will be a lot of help.
The plans are part of a public consultation, and not everyone agrees.
What I believe the council should work on first is currently actual Nelson Street. So I think they should work on the arch. The arch needs a good refurbishment, more lighting to the arch, as well as more additions to the area to make it more vibrant. I know they've introduced these lanterns around Chinatown. I really do believe they should focus on this area before they should think about expanding to the bottom half of Chinatown.
The consultation ends next Monday. If approved, the council says work will be finished early next year. Anne O'Connor, ITV News, Liverpool.
Yeah, lovely part of the city there.
Yeah.
Well, finally, a few weeks ago, we spoke to Lily Myers, the widow of hairy biker Dave Myers from Barrow, about how much she was missing him after he passed away last year, aged 66. And she also told us, though, about plans to auction off Dave's beloved BSA motorbike, which he rode in many TV series alongside his best buddy, Cy King.
The hope was to raise at least £10,000 for the cancer care charity in North Lancashire and South Cumbria and the NSPCC Childline. Here's how the auction ended.
Make no mistake,
don't forget
15.7.
Dave's DNA is on that bike.
All over it, probably. 15.8. There we go. Make no mistake, at £15,800. The hammer's up. Going once, twice. Third and final at £15,800. Very good. Thank you very much, Paul. Well done.
Great
How
going.
fabulous is that?
Yeah, here's Jeff.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello again. Over the next couple of days, low pressure will be back in the driving seat weather-wise. Some of us caught a glimpse of the aurora last night. This was the Isle of Man. But for many of us over the next few nights, low cloud, mistiness and a rather breezy outlook with showers featuring over the next few days and starting to feel just a little bit cooler as well as we approach the weekend. Low pressure back in the driving seat, but there will be interludes where high pressure just grabs hold, tomorrow night in particular. But fronts will be moving through every now and again, bringing spells of showery rain as we approach the end of the week. Back to this evening's details. Starting clear and dry, quite a breeze for Irish Sea coast, but inland falling away fairly light, and this will allow some mist and fog to form, and particularly for northern counties, northern parts of Lancashire, Cumbria and the Isle of Man, more cloud before dawn. A dry night ahead though, 4 or 5 Celsius perhaps under any cloud breaks for Derbyshire and Cheshire tonight. On to tomorrow, those are the sun times. It's up at 5:57 and sets at 6:37 tomorrow evening. For most places tomorrow, quite a misty and murky start to the day, breezy again for western coast through the morning. There'll be outbreaks of patchy rain and drizzle for Cumbria, the Lake District, North Lancashire through the first part of the day, but it should get out fine for most of us through the afternoon. More cloud around in general than there has been today, but a few glimmers of brightness if we're lucky. It is noticeably breezy, but despite that, temperatures are doing well. 14 or 15 Celsius is above average for the time of year. Dry with high pressure in charge through tomorrow night, and then it will be rather showery to end the working week and feeling cooler on Friday. The weekend, though, not looking too bad at all.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
That's it for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.
Bye-bye.